I think you all know that I'm connected to StarLogo. So let's go to education.mit.edu. This is the website for the container, the Education Arcade, or the Scheller Teacher Educator Program. They've kind of joined forces, and they have this one website for all the tools developed at MIT. All these learning tools, including, if you scroll down far enough, well, that's just the news. So let's go to projects. And still scroll down, down, down. Oh, wait, I went past it. No, I didn't. It gets better and better. Okay, so at least it moved up a little bit. But so on MIT's official website right now, it lists StarLogo TNG version 1.5, which is great, except for the fact that version 2.0 came out almost 2 years ago. And you can't get to it from the official MIT website, because it has taken months of process to try to update this page. Welcome to the university political culture. And yet, I can design my own site for this tiny little workshop and literally edit it during class and add new content. So this is old paradigm. This is where we give our power, the power to edit our own content, to really affect our lives to other people whose interests are in direct conflict with ours, because I'm not high enough of a priority for them to actually update this. It drives me out of my mind. Every week I have a meeting and I say, project manager, please, let me just create a totally different website. Well, we're close. We're close. So finally, I go and I spend my $10 and I build this, which is simply just one page with a little animation that then puts us directly into StarLogo Nova. So if you go to starlogo.org initially, you just get an animation and something called a redirect, which we're about to look at what that is. So after a year, I could finally just create my own portal. And now I can tell people, go to starlogo.org. It's a short URL, which is what you want, something punchy. And I can put anything at starlogo.org that I want. I don't have to go through any of that process. This other stuff behind it is controlled by MIT. But the problem right now is we don't have a good front door to that project. And so what I want us to do today, at least with the time that we have together, is create our front door for our project. So that means registering a URL, the address that you see. And right now, StarLogo doesn't even have a permanent URL yet. It's actually still using just an address, which drives me out of my mind. Because if you get a link in your email and this is the URL, how confident does that make you that this is official? Now, let's say you're a school teacher, our target demographic for this software, and you get this link. They're probably not going to be real happy about that in your IT department. So why aren't people adopting our software? You tell me. So the first thing that we need is a URL. True or false? What is a URL?
An address? A marker?
Yeah, it's an address. That's all. So education.mit.edu. I'm not going to get into the logistics of why.edu or even what URL means. Just knowing that we need an address to tell people how to go to our website. So you can register. In fact, let me go back to our nice website. I've created a link here for the 5 best domain name registrars on lifehacker.com. That's your homework. So in classic UBD sense, we're going to do this backwards. You're going to register your URL last, because that takes potentially the most time, and you'll all do it at different rates. So if I had you register a URL right now, some of you would take the next hour and a half just thinking about what should it be, searching for one that fits. That's a whole other thing. I'm going to stick around after this workshop, so if you want help registering an actual URL, I'm happy to do that. Fortunately, you don't need your own URL to have your own website. That's where Google Sites and WordPress come in. Now, one of the advantages of Google Sites over WordPress is that with WordPress, you do have to have your own server to get the full power of WordPress. And we'll look at that in a bit. But for now, everybody should have Google Sites open in their browser. I recommend using Google Chrome or Firefox if you have it. If you have Safari, you might run into some problems with compatibility, depending on which version you have. So when you're in Google Sites, you're not seeing the list that I am because you're logged in. Anyone not logged into Gmail right now? Okay, so that's great. So what we want to do is create a new site. So go ahead and click Create.
Should we logged into Gmail or no?
You should. Yep, you can go ahead and log in. So when you went to Google Sites, it probably asked you to log in.
So I'm
right.
into that.
Yeah, so you can totally use the same account that your Hangout is in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
So let's create our first website in Google Sites. I'm just going to click Create. Now, Google always wants you to use one of their templates. I'm not going to let you use any of their templates. All of them make it harder for you to modify your site down the road. So we're actually going to start with their blank template. And here you can name your site. What I'm going to recommend you name your first site just for ease, because it can be very difficult to find a name that hasn't already been used in Google Sites. So let's just do this. The name for this site is ED113. And let's say I'm John, and if I'm one of the two Johns, I'll do John E. And I'm going to do the same, ED113, Derek.
Is this case sensitive?
No, it's going to translate it into lowercase no matter what you put there. URLs are a weird beast. In some cases, they're case sensitive. In some cases, there aren't. It depends on how the servers are set up. So notice what it's doing. Let's make this a little bigger. So if I scroll down, I'll see it is suggesting a URL, really just adding my name to this long address. So let's keep that by default. Hopefully it will be available for all of us. See where it says select a theme? I find this so odd because weren't we just presented with a bunch of themes to choose from? And yet it's still trying. And these are actually different themes than the one we were choosing from before. The previous themes were about layout. These are about design and having a pretty background. Let's keep it blank for now, so we're not going to select a theme. But let's click on more options. This site description is one of the most important things that you'll do for your website if you want anyone to ever find it. When you do a Google search, what results does it return? If I do a Google search for ED113, what is it returning? What do I get when I do a Google search? Oh, there's Diana. Diana, it got you. What do we have here? What's this part that it's returning when I did a Google search? What's in blue? Guess. You don't have to know for sure. Yeah, it's just the title of the page, right? And then what's beneath it?
The URL.
And then what?
It's the description
Yes.
of the date.
So if you don't have a description, either Google won't even know what it is, and so won't include it here, or the person who got it won't have a description of what it is, and sometimes your title might not be all that descriptive. A lot of times what you see here is home, or about, or client, or something like that. So you want to be as descriptive as you possibly can be in both your title and in your description. It's doubly important in Google Sites. The site description is the default description for every page unless you give it a specific description.
Okay, I don't see that on my page.
Did you click on more options? Do you see more options under, it says select theme and then more options? Let's see. Or you might have saved.
probably went.
Oh, you saved.
Step.
No problem.
Okay.
I'll show you where you can change that. No big deal. Yeah. That's what teachers always do. They're always 3 steps ahead of everyone else in the class. That's why we're here. So I'm going to put in this code. I have an incredibly difficult time with these. I don't know about anyone else.
Did you give it a description?
I didn't. I'm going to show John where he can put in his description once we've saved it. I recommend that you put in a description, and it can be as simple as test page during ED 113 workshop with the stellar Derek Breen, just to raise my cred even more. Let's see, I'm going to try and create this. And I never get it right the first time. I'm going to zoom out just so we can see the layout. Now, there is a subtle gray background that you're probably seeing on your screen, but the contrast isn't good enough on the projector.
So do we put the, so after,
I'm sorry, Julie.
didn't take my code.
Did you miss a
So
step?
after I hit the code,
Well, there is no save on it. It's still
there's no
like
save. Okay, that's what I was
Right.
wondering. So then what do I do?
Yeah, just try that one.
Hit
And
carriage return.
Yep.
And hit carriage return.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I'm convinced I got a flavoring of my father's dyslexia that makes it incredibly difficult for me to decipher that stuff.
Been doing that all week. Spelling my name wrong, dyslexia. Yeah.
So what do you have to hit to actually like do it? Do they keep telling you to retype the code?
Try hitting enter, carriage return.
So it says, should
Yeah.
say return on your button.
Where you either enter or return.
So back a long time ago, back in the days of typewriters, they called that the carriage, and you'd hit it. And that's the return.
That's what I started with too. I had typing class with the old.
Oh, my grandmother had the
Selectric
really
card
old.
for
No, my grandmother had.
I
the-
get a manual.
My grandmother did.
So cool. Okay, so now you're good.
Okay, so did I miss how you change it if you haven't put the description up?
No, so let's do that right now. So right now, all that I have is my site name here, which by default displays on every page. What else do you see that it's created? So all that I did was gave it a name and a description if I filled out the description, which I haven't done yet. What did Google Sites do for me?
In the sitemap.
Sitemap. What's that?
So you can see what you have, like a map.
Yeah, let's click on that. Let's see what we have. So it's saying right now we have a site and one page called Home. That sitemap has a few different purposes. One of the most important is Google loves sitemaps. Google, when they're crawling the web and indexing, when they find a sitemap, it's actually providing a nice structure for them to figure out what your site is actually about. So that's why their site tool creates that by default. They want every website to have a sitemap. It's also great for complex sites because sometimes people have trouble navigating because you've not done a great job as a designer with your menus and your buttons and all of that. Another thing is for accessibility. So if people have different challenges, like they're blind or they're deaf or they have trouble processing information, there's some software that will use that sitemap to actually help them navigate. It will create an audio version of the menu, things like that. So really handy to have. Fortunately, that's automated. So let's go back to home. Now we can either click home in our sitemap or here. I'll just go back to here.